the 8th. We had the unemployment claims this morning. Not much change from that. And we will jump right into it. So first thing, as always, we jump over here to our monthly chart, try to maintain our perspective, see what the market is doing. We can see on the monthly chart, we're still one time framing higher, trading about 45.11. Settle yesterday was 45.15 quarter. So we're trading a little bit below that settle, but not by much. Still above the previous month's high, which was 49.57 quarter. Definitely be paying attention to that. And then our next level up, equilibrium based off of a backdated chart, is 50.59. Should we get continuation today? Now switching over to the weekly, you can see the weekly has broken the previous week's high, so we're no longer in an inside week. This week's high 50.20, right, developing +4 week, and we definitely now want to be monitoring last week's high, which is 49.9775. That'll just be an indication, are we going to continue getting momentum, or are we going to break down, right? And last week's close, so this week could still finish as a +4 week as long as the close of this week, which is 2 more days, is above 49.80 quarter, still indicating, or would indicate, that momentum buyers are still in control. So definitely another level that we want to be paying attention to. Now, switching over to the daily, you can see that we gapped up yesterday and for the most part held that gap higher, and we're still going to be opening up here close to yesterday's settle. It's looking like, I mean, we still have about 25 minutes, so we'll have to kind of wait and see, but we definitely want to be cognizant of this gap, right? Gaps are forms of excess, indicating that there may be some short time frame traders trapped here below us that are propelling the market into these higher prices. Remember yesterday we hit an all-time high. Before we switch over here, let's go ahead and take a peek at some of these other things, right? NASDAQ also hit an all-time high yesterday. The Russell still kind of struggling, especially if you zoom out, right? You can see the Russell just still kind of struggling, or kind of middling here. The Dow didn't hit an all-time high yesterday. We came very close, but that all-time high is still set back on the 2nd. We take a peek at gold, right? Gold's still fairly down off of its high, trading about 20.35. And one last peek over here at oil. We can see oil had a decent pullback off of those 77s, but caught a decent bid today, coming into today, opening up on a gap higher and trading higher at the moment, up already about 1.27. Last but not least, everyone's favorite trade, Bitcoin, also opened up on a gap and trading up at around 45K on the futures market. So definitely some interesting buying going in around the market. Now, switching over here to the profiles, a little bit of a review from yesterday. Morning, Tommy. We can see we got some traders stuck here early, right? We did a review yesterday. I don't know if it was recorded, but there was a really good review yesterday for those of you guys that were in the trade room with us. If not, maybe another time. We got traders trapped here early during A period and the earliest part of B period, forced them to cover, and then the market traded basically sideways to up as value finished higher for the day. Now, we left behind some key references, right? Those being some single prints indicating our day time frame shorts that were stuck, and this big gap indicating some longer time frame traders that were probably stuck. So coming into today, it looks like it's going to be play number 1. We're opening basically right in the middle of the range. We've got value area high sitting about 45.18, value area low sitting about 45.06. And so what we're kind of looking for here is definitely the opportunity to trade both sides of the market. Should we break that value area low and not fill those singles, that kind of turns us off to the downside, as it would be an indication that old business is not yet taken care of and that the market still needs to trade up a little bit higher in order to squeeze out some of these weaker handed shorts. Now, if we do come down, fill those single prints and get a pullback, that's what we'll be looking to kind of trade this. And I'll be looking really at this 45.02 to 45.04 level as a spot to target that short. And so we can make this actually a little bit cleaner here. That way it can be clipped or made easier. So about this 4502 to 4504, we'll really be kind of looking for the singles to fill first, wait for that pullback, and then you'll be targeting down here towards that 4592 area is kind of what I'm going to be looking for. And if it gets continuation, right, you'll be looking for that gap, and inside that gap you have that settle at that 4980. That 4980 is also the previous week's high, right, which would bring in more short covering or more liquidation underneath of that level. Now to the upside, what we'd like to see is if we get this break of this high and we get above the settle. Remember, yesterday was a +4 day, so let's just go ahead and just kind of label this here. We had a +4 day yesterday, and so what that tells us is that we really want to only be long above the settle. So what we're looking for here is kind of a break of the previous day's high. And if it breaks above the previous day's high and holds, we'll look to get that continuation to get long. If it breaks the previous day's high and pulls back, we'd like to see it hold this 45.16 to 45.18 to give us that continuation up. And that continuation up is going to be towards the 50.59 area, right? That could give us a farther continuation. We can go ahead and just make this a little bit easier. That way it can be saved and clipped. That way it's easier to look back at. But that's really kind of the plan here and kind of what we're looking for as far as today goes. Inside of any of these other things, right? Inside the balance from yesterday or inside the value from yesterday, we probably get a little bit choppy. A failure to fill these single prints really is kind of an indication that old time frame business is not taken care of, and we probably get that reversion back to the mean, and then do a little bit of chopping around. If we do break down and get into this gap without getting to this previous day's settle, that can still be a bullish scenario. The level that I like is kind of this 80, actually is 86 to 89 was yesterday, but we're going to be looking down a little bit in the gap here a little bit. So we're looking from like 84 to 88 as far as like a longer pullback to try to trade back up to that 5K. That would kind of balance out this distribution here. Now, if you zoom out a little bit, you can see where the larger distributions lay. And you have one distribution, two distributions, three distributions, four distributions, right? So you take those weak spots in your distributions and use them kind of as lines in the sand, right? Should we break below this level, well, there's decent odds that we're going to trade to the 65. Should we break below this level, well, there's decent odds we're going to trade to the 15. Should we break below the 48.95, well, there's decent odds that we're going to trade back to the 85, right? And so the same thing up here where we have kind of two smaller distributions. Should we break below this 5,000 and close these singles, well, there is decent odds that we're at least going to trade back down to this ledge in this distribution, which is about 45.92, 93 area, which would be our first target on that short. But other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure that you're managing risk and sticking to your trade plan, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.